Dear students, in the previous lecture video, we have come across the relationship between the pointers and the string. In today's class, we'll have a look on the pointers and the structure, how they are related, or relationship between the pointers and the structure. To take you at the brief about the structure, in the first PUC, we have defined the structure is a collection of variables belonging to same or different data type. So we can say structure is a collection of homogeneous elements. In the introduction to classes and objects also, we have taken the concept of structure and explained you about the what is structure and how the difference between the class and the structure can be found. So in the today's class, we'll look on the relationship between the pointer and the structure. So pointer to a structure variable can be created by using the pointers. So the member operator that we have, that is arrow mark operator, or the pointer operator that we have, that is called as the asterisk operator, is used to access the structure members. Example, we have a structure, the name of the structure is student, consisting of data members. So as you know, the structure begins with the keyword called as struct followed by the structure name. So struct student is the name of the structure. There are two data members in the structure, that is roll number and fees. The roll number belongs to integer data type and the fees belongs to the float data type. The structure definition ends with closing of the curly brace followed by semicolon, just like the class. But the class will consist of data members as well as member functions. So similarly, how we will create an object for the class by using the name of the class followed by the name of the object. Here also we'll be creating the member of the structure by using the structure name itself. So student yes. So S is a structure member belonging to the structure called student. Once the structure member has been selected or created, we can access to the any data member of the structure, that is roll number and fees, by using the arrow operator to the structure member, or if you are using a pointer to the structure by using the asterisk. So that has been done. We are creating a pointer to the structure. See, the name of the structure is student. So student asterisk P. So this is the pointer to the structure. If you consider only this statement, the statement over here is pointer to the structure. Then the pointer is been initialized. The pointer to the structure is been initialized with an address of a structure member. That means it can access the data members of S. So what are the data members of S? That is a structure student consisting of roll number and fees are the data members of the structure called S. So address of S is been stored under P. Indirectly will have the access to the members of the structure student roll number and fees into the pointer called P. So P can access, that is pointer operator can access by using the member operator. So member operator is been given here. So that is an arrow mark which is going to access the first field of the structure, that is roll number is equals to 104. So this is how the structure and the pointers are related. Now how can we say they are related or relationship has been established? Because the address of the structure member is stored under the pointer to the structure. By using the arrow mark operator or member operator, we can access the data of the structure. Okay, that's the relationship between the structure and the pointer. Considering another example, Now what we have created in the previous slide, we have the same, but general syntax we will be discussing. The general syntax for creating the pointer to the structure is structure name, that is whatever the structure name is, asterisk, that is pointer declaration, structure pointer. Now where we can apply this? We are applying this syntax into the statement over here, that is the pointer name, that is structure to the pointer, is created by the asterisk. The name of the structure is given over here. Let us consider another example. Struct student consisting roll number and name. So this is only the structure that we have defined within a short space. In the void main, we are creating S1 as the member of the structure student. Okay, it's not students, it's student. So we are using S1 dot, that is structure member dot operator is used to access the data members that we have learned in the first POC. So S1 dot roll number Cin will be taking, or for the name we will be taking get line or gets S1 dot name. So in the next statement we are creating a pointer to the structure, that is STU. STU is the pointer to the structure called student. Now STU will store the address of S1, that is structure member. So the access of S1 can be available into the STU. Now STU points to the S1, that is the address of S1 is stored in the STU. Okay. So once I display STU arrow mark roll number, whatever is been given input over here, the same will be given output over here for the roll number and the name, that is same. So we have a certain note over here. I hope you have already read it, but once again we will try to read it. So in this particular statement, here S1 is variable to the structure student, as I have explained you, and STDU is a pointer variable to the structure, okay, student. So STDU is a pointer. So the data member of the structure can be accessible by the pointer to the structure by using the member operator or arrow mark operator. Moving forward, we'll talk about the dynamic memory allocation. Now in the previous classes when we were discussing about the pointer concept, we had the advantages of pointers. One of the most advantage of the pointer is dynamic allocation and deallocation. So what do you mean by dynamic allocation and deallocation? Then I have already told you a word called as static memory allocation and dynamic allocation. Let us take a quick recap on the static and dynamic allocation, what I have explained you in the introduction to the pointers. So in the static memory allocation, the memory is allocated during the compilation. When I am compiling the program, the memory is allocated and the size is been fixed and the ranges are also been fixed. That is, if I say int a, integer will occupy 4 bytes of memory space or 2 bytes of memory space, ranging from 32,767 to 68 plus or minus. Okay, that is the ranges that are accommodated. So static in the sense fixed during the compilation itself, but reverse of that is dynamic allocation. So in C++, dynamic allocation memory is available from different area, that is called as free store, heap, pool. The pool, what is the pool? The pool is the area of unallocated heap memory. Heap means one after another. Okay, an area where the free memory is available. Okay, provided to the program. So dynamic allocation means the allocation that is done during the runtime. That's the word. In static, compilation time. In dynamic, we will be talking about the runtime memory allocation. So there are two operators or two unary operators that we will be using for the dynamic memory allocation. Those operators are new operator and delete operator, that are going to perform the task of allocating, new operator allocating, and deallocating, that is delete operator is going to perform the deallocating memory during the runtime or during the execution of the program. So we will talk about the new operator and the delete operator, how they are going to allocate the memory space and deallocate the memory space. Before going to the allocation and deallocation, let us talk about the common definition that we have is a free store. Now we have spoken about different memory area, that is from the free store, heap, pool, but we defined the pool of unallocated heap memory provided to the program. But there is a different definition for the pool and the heap, but we will talk about the definition of the free store. Now once this common word comes in your mind, free store means which is accessible or which is free. When you talk about free, it is nothing but taken for granted, you can say. But here the free store is a pool of unallocated memory. What do you mean by unallocated? Nobody has occupied certain memory in that area. Nobody is having the place in that area. It's separately available. It is separately available. It is free to be occupied. That is called as unallocated memory heap. Now, why do we use this unallocated memory heap? It is usually given to a program that is used by the program for the dynamic allocation during the execution of the program. So when we talk about new and delete operator, we will take the memory from the free store or from the pool or from the heap, but here in the free store we are talking about only the dynamic allocation. That is, once the new operator is executed, the dynamic memory allocation can be given from the free store, that is a heap of or a pool of unallocated memory heap, used by the program for dynamic allocation. Allocation is nothing but giving the space, during the execution, not during the compilation. So C++ memory map, how does it look like? Now once we are talking about dynamic and static memory allocation, once we jump into the new and delete operator, we have different kinds of memory area that you can see in the diagram. The first thing is called as the program code. So C++ memory is divided into 4 sections that you can see in the diagram, as I told you. The first is called as the program code. So what it does, program code holds the compiled code. Once the program is compiled and it is free from errors, the compiled code is stored under an area called program code area, that is this area. Now when we were discussing about the structure of C++ in the first year, we had global variables and local variables. I hope you remember, local variables are the variables that are declared in the function and their lifespan is limited. Whereas global variables are the variables, they will remain throughout the program that you have written in the 1 mark. Global variables, they remain in the memory as long as the program continues. So this area is available for the global variables so that the variables are accessible anywhere and everywhere to the program. The next is called as a stack. Now how you have stack of books, that is books one after another in your shelf or rack. Similarly, a stack is used for holding or returning addresses at a function call statements or arguments passed to the function, local variables for the functions, and it stores the current state of the CPU also. So about the stacks we will be discussing in chapter called data structure in detail. So what is a stack? It's a pool of memory which basically used for functions, call statement, function argument, and even local variables, but as well as for the CPU current status. The next is the heap. Heap is a region of free memory from which chunk means n number of free space of memory are allocated via the dynamic memory function, that is new and delete operator. Chunk here in the sense Okay, one after another, like a sequence of, okay, continuously chunk of memory, the continuous, okay, memory. We'll be using a different word instead of sequential memory. We have used a word called chunk of memory. So the next class will jump into the new and delete operator, and we will see how the new operator will allocate the memory space and delete operator will deallocate the memory space, and also we will see the difference between static and dynamic memory allocation, which is important for 3 marks. Thank you.